It started with a sound that didn't belong in a house that expensive. A child's cry, sharp, lonely, breaking through the hum of rain against the giant glass windows. It didn't sound like a tantrum. It sounded like heartbreak. Ava froze mid-swipe, her cleaning cloth pressed against the marble counter. Only her second week working here, and she already knew when silence meant safety and when it meant danger. But this sound, this wasn't silence breaking. It was something deeper. From downstairs came the voice that ruled the mansion. Who let him cry like that? The voice could shake glass. Daniel Carter, 38, tech mogul, the kind of man whose money made news. And right now, his tone carried fury wrapped around fear. Ava's heart skipped. The other maids had whispered about that cry, about the boy no one saw, the floor no one was allowed to clean, the East Wing. Her manager's voice snapped from below. Ava, stay out of that section. But her feet were already moving. Something about that sound, she knew it too well. That same hollow cry had lived in her childhood apartment once, behind a thin wall where her little brother used to rock himself to sleep after their mother left. She climbed the stairs, pulse hammering. The hall stretched long, lined with silver frames, photos of Daniel shaking hands with presidents, smiling at award shows. None of a family, none of a child. The cry came again. Ava followed it to a half-open door. Inside, the flicker of a digital fish tank cast blue light on the walls. A small boy, maybe 6, sat on the floor, rocking back and forth, whispering something to himself. His small fists thumped against his knees in rhythm. Ava's breath caught. Hey, sweetheart. Her voice trembled but stayed soft. You're safe, okay? I won't come closer. The boy didn't answer. His head kept moving side to side, like he was trying to shake out something only he could hear. Ava crouched low, hands open. Then, without touching him, she hummed low, warm, familiar. The same tune her grandmother used to hum when her brother spiraled. The boy froze, just for a second. Then his head turned a fraction, enough for her to see his eyes. Wide, blue, stormy. She smiled, tears burning behind her lashes. Hi. And then, what the hell are you doing in here? The voice thundered from the doorway. Ava flinched, spinning around. Daniel Carter stood there, tall, sharp, fury barely caged behind his perfect posture. Her mouth went dry. I heard him crying. I just wanted to. Do you have any idea what you've done? His voice cracked, more panic than anger now. Ava's eyes widened. I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean. Step away from him. She hesitated. The boy whimpered. Something instinctive in her rose like fire. He's scared. Just give him a second. Daniel froze. For once, he didn't know what to do. His son, his own son, was looking at a stranger, quiet for the first time in hours. The silence stretched. Ava could hear the rain outside again. Slowly, the boy crawled toward her, reached for her sleeve, clung tight. Daniel's face fell, the kind of heartbreak no money could buy off. How did you? His voice cracked mid-sentence. I didn't, Ava whispered. He just needed someone to listen. For a long time, no one spoke. Only the soft hum of the fish tank filled the room. Then Daniel said, almost to himself, no one been able to do that in 2 years. Ava swallowed hard, unsure if she should stay or run. Because sometimes, saving someone's child can ruin your life. The rain hadn't stopped all night. It just whispered against the glass like the house was trying to remember how to feel alive. Ava sat on the edge of her small bed in the staff quarters, her hands still trembling from what happened upstairs. The boy's eyes, those ocean blue storms, wouldn't leave her mind. Neither would his father's face. When her shift ended, she was called to the study. Daniel Carter's assistant stood waiting. He wants to see you, now. Her stomach turned. She followed her through the long hallway. Portrait eyes followed her again, but this time they felt less judgmental and more like witnesses. The office door swung open. Daniel was there, his suit jacket off, sleeves rolled, staring out the window as the skyline bled gold and gray. He didn't turn right away. Sit. She sat, The chair felt too soft, the silence too loud. He finally spoke. "You went into a restricted area." "Yes, sir, I did." Her voice was low, steady, but shaking underneath. "Do you make a habit of breaking rules?" She looked down. "Not unless someone's crying like the world's ending." That made him turn. There was no anger in his face now, only exhaustion. "You calmed him. No one been able to do that in years." Ava said nothing. Daniel walked closer, rubbing a hand over his jaw. "I've had therapists, specialists, behavior experts, 12 of them. He wouldn't let any of them near him." His voice dropped. "Since his mother passed, it's been impossible." Her chest tightened. "I'm sorry for your loss." He nodded, eyes distant. "You sang to him, that song he stopped crying." "It's just something my grandma used to hum," she said softly. "My brother," her voice cracked. "He was like your son, nonverbal. Storms used to scare him, so she'd sing that tune, calmed him every time." Daniel's expression shifted, not pity, not sympathy, just something quietly human. "Your brother." "He passed when he was 9. He exhaled slowly, sitting down across from her. "You're not trained in therapy, are you?" "No, sir. I just understand silence." The corner of his mouth twitched. "That might be rarer than you think." Ava glanced down at her hands. Her nails were chipped, her palms rough from cleaning chemicals. "My paycheck barely covers my grandma's medicine," she murmured. "But I need this job. Please don't fire me." Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I'm not firing you." Her head snapped up. He leaned forward. "I'm offering you a new position. Be with my son. Help him, talk to him, stay close. Whatever it is you did today, do it again." Her throat went dry. "Sir, I'm not qualified." "I don't care about qualifications." His tone softened. "I care that for the first time in 2 years, he stopped screaming." Her heart hammered. "Mr. Carter, that's not." He interrupted gently. "I'll double your pay and make sure your grandmother gets what she needs." Her breath hitched. You do that." "I can't buy peace, Ava, but maybe you can bring it into this house." The words landed deep, heavier than she expected. She hesitated, feeling every fear she'd ever carried press against her ribs. What if she failed? What if she broke something too fragile to fix? But then her grandmother's voice echoed in her head. "Baby, when God opens a door, don't stand there staring at the knob." Ava lifted her chin. "When do I start?" Daniel's eyes softened. "Tomorrow morning." She nodded, standing to leave. At the door. She turned back. "For what it's worth, sir, he's not broken. He's just waiting for someone to speak his language." For a second, Daniel couldn't breathe. He only nodded. As Ava walked out, her reflection ghosted across the glass. Small, trembling, but full of quiet fire. Hope had found its way into the mansion. But hope doesn't come alone in houses built on secrets. It always brings trouble close behind. The city was still waking when Ava stepped out of the car, clutching her worn duffel bag. The mansion loomed under a silver dawn, quiet, expensive, and too clean to feel alive. Her heart thudded like a warning drum. This wasn't a second chance. It was a test. Mrs. Green, the head housekeeper, opened the heavy door. Her lips were a thin line of polite suspicion. "You again," she muttered. "Mr. Carter said you're moving in." "Yes, ma'am," Ava said softly. Mrs. Green handed her a slim keycard. "Your room in the West Wing. He wants you close to the boy." The older woman's tone made it sound like a warning, not a courtesy. The hallway smelled of lemon polish and old air conditioning. Every step echoed too loudly, like the house itself didn't like new footsteps. Her quarters were small but warm, sunlight through a narrow window, a soft beige bedspread, and a vase of fresh lilies on the nightstand. The kind of detail that said someone had gone out of their way. She placed a photo of Grandma Rosa by the lamp. "Well, Nana," she whispered with a shaky laugh, "looks like we're moving up in the world." But her hands trembled, because she knew better than to trust a good beginning. At 9 a.m., Ava stood outside the boys' room, Noah Carter, according to the small brass plate on the door. She inhaled deeply, then knocked twice. No reply. She turned the handle and peeked in. The room was soft-colored, filled with light, shelves lined with books, a few broken toys, and a wide window overlooking the garden. Noah sat cross-legged on the floor, arranging colored blocks into patterns only he understood. His small face was expressionless, but his hands moved with delicate precision. "Good morning, Noah," Ava said gently. He didn't look up. She stepped closer, lowering herself to the floor a few feet away. "Mind if I sit?" Still silence. She picked up a stray yellow block and held it up. "I think this one's lost. It doesn't like being alone." A faint flicker in his eyes. Then, the smallest shift. He reached over and took the yellow block from her hand, placing it in the center of his pattern. Ava smiled softly. "See, it fits." They stayed like that for almost an hour, no words, just color and quiet. The air around them softened, like the house itself was exhaling. When she began humming, the same tune from yesterday, Noah's hands slowed. Then, without warning, he placed one small block into her palm. A gift. A bridge. Ava's eyes burned. "Thank you, sweetheart." Behind them, a quiet voice broke the moment. "I haven't seen him share anything since his mom passed." Ava looked up. Daniel stood by the door, no suit today, just a plain gray shirt, eyes softer than she'd seen before. "I didn't know you were watching," she said. He gave a faint smile. "I didn't mean to interrupt." "You're not," she replied. "He's doing great." Daniel's gaze lingered on his son, fragile, quiet, but finally still. Then it slid to Ava. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." He left before she could answer, his footsteps fading into silence. When she turned back, Noah was watching the door, lips trembling. She whispered, "It's okay. He'll come back." Noah blinked once, then reached for her hand. That simple touch made something inside her break and rebuild all at once. From the hallway, she could faintly hear Mrs. Green whispering to another maid. "She's in there again. Poor girl. They all start off thinking they can fix that child." The other voice murmured, "Or maybe she's the one he'll break next." Ava didn't hear it, but the walls did. And soon, they'd start whispering louder. By the third day, Ava had learned something new about the mansion. It wasn't quiet. It just pretended to be. The silence hummed under the marble, carried footsteps she couldn't place, and whispered her name when the wind shifted. Or maybe that was just her nerves. Noah was improving, slowly, quietly, but undeniably. He started humming when she hummed, tapping rhythm with her fingers on the floor. He'd even let her braid his tiny curls one morning, something Mrs. Green said he'd never allowed anyone to do. But the warmer Noah got, the colder the staff became. It started with whispers. "They say he hired her on the spot. She's just a cleaner. What's she doing in his son's room every day? She's not one of us." Ava tried to ignore them, but gossip had a way of sticking to air, clinging to her even when she walked away. That afternoon, while tidying the kitchen, she overheard Mrs. Green speaking in a low tone to the cook. "Mr. Carter's lost his sense," Mrs. Green muttered. "The last woman he brought close nearly destroyed this house. You'd think he'd learn." The cook's knife paused mid-chop. "You mean?" Mrs. Green's gaze flicked toward the ceiling. "Some things don't stay buried, even with money." Ava froze. A chill crawled up her arms. She quietly slipped out before they noticed. When she reached Noah's room, he was already waiting, sitting by the window with his headphones on, watching raindrops trace down the glass. He looked peaceful, untouched by the world outside. She smiled softly and sat beside him. "Hey, partner." He didn't answer, but he slid one earphone toward her. She hesitated, then placed it in her ear. Soft piano music. The kind that sounded like someone remembering something beautiful and painful at the same time. Ava sighed. "You've got good taste, kiddo." For a few minutes, the house felt kind again, until something flickered in the corner of her eye. The mirror across the room, old, gilded, too large for the wall, showed a faint reflection of the hallway behind her. Someone was standing there, watching. Her heart jumped. She turned. No one, just the slow creak of the hallway light swaying. Okay, she whispered to herself, forcing a shaky laugh. No ghosts, just nerves. Noah, however, had gone still. His small hand clutched hers, tight. His eyes darted toward the mirror again. It's okay, she said gently, but her voice betrayed her. She picked him up and guided him toward the play corner. See, nothing there. Still, he wouldn't look back at it. That night, Ava couldn't sleep. Every creak sounded closer, every gust of wind seemed to whisper down the hallway. Around midnight, she got up for a glass of water and paused at her door. Someone was humming, softly, slowly, the same lullaby she always sang to Noah. Her blood ran cold. She opened the door. The corridor was empty, but a faint trail of wet footprints led from Noah's room, straight past her door and vanished halfway down the hall. Ava's breath trembled. Somewhere deep in the mansion, a door shut by itself. And from the darkness came a sound that didn't belong, a single, fragile giggle. Noah's, the footprints shouldn't have been there. Faint, wet, small, like a child had walked barefoot through rainwater. But Noah was asleep. Ava stood frozen in the dim hall, every nerve screaming for her to go back inside. But something stronger, instinct, maybe love, pushed her forward. She followed. The air smelled of old wood and something metallic. The footprints glimmered under the low light, leading her past the guest rooms, past the portraits, all the way to the east corridor, the one Mrs. Green always kept locked. The door at the end was cracked open now, just slightly. Her hand shook as she touched it. "Noah," she whispered. No answer, only silence, deep, watchful silence. She pushed the door open. Inside, dust hung thick in the air, catching the moonlight. The room was different from the rest of the mansion, untouched, frozen in time. Toys scattered across the carpet, a rocking chair in the corner, and on the dresser, a half-burned candle beside a framed photograph. A woman, smiling, radiant, holding a toddler in her arms. Noah. Ava's throat tightened. His mother. Then she heard it, the faint rhythm of the rocking chair creaking. Slow, back and forth. Her pulse stuttered. Hello. The chair was moving. Empty. A soft giggle floated through the air, Noah's voice, clear as day. Her chest locked. Noah, she whispered again, louder this time. Then she noticed something. The photo frame wasn't dusty. Someone had been here recently. The giggle turned into a hum, her song. The same lullaby she sang to Noah every day. Her skin prickled. Who's there? The door behind her slammed shut. She jumped, spinning around. The handle rattled, locked from the outside. Her heart kicked against her ribs. Okay, breathe, she whispered. You're fine, it's fine. Something moved near the window. Just a shadow, quick and low. Ava grabbed the candle from the dresser, her hands trembling. The flame flickered wildly. If someone's here, I'm not scared, she said, a lie her voice couldn't hide. Then a whisper came, barely audible, right beside her ear. You shouldn't have come here. She dropped the candle. It hit the floor, rolling in a small circle before going out. Darkness swallowed the room. She fumbled for her phone, turning on the flashlight. The beam caught a glint, the photo frame again, fallen now. Behind it, something taped to the wall, a small, wrinkled note. She peeled it off slowly. The handwriting was shaky but clear. He still waits for her. Her breath caught. What? A soft knock came from behind the wall, 3 slow taps. She turned, pressing the light toward it. The wallpaper had a faint seam, almost invisible, a hidden door. She pressed against it. Nothing. Then she noticed a small wooden latch near the floor, disguised under the molding. She pulled it. The panel clicked, opened an inch. The smell hit her first, damp air, faint perfume, dust. Inside was darkness deeper than night. And then, a single whisper, Noah's voice, echoing softly. Don't wake her up. Her light flickered. Ave. She gasped, spinning around. Daniel stood at the main door, his face pale, breath ragged. What the hell are you doing here? The hidden door slammed shut behind her, on its own. Ava's flashlight died. Only Daniel's voice filled the dark. You weren't supposed to see this. Barely slept. Every sound that night had felt like the house breathing around her. When morning came, she didn't feel rested, she felt watched. Daniel hadn't mentioned what happened. He just told her to stay away from the East Wing. His voice had cracked when he said it. Noah, meanwhile, was unusually quiet. He didn't hum, didn't smile, didn't build with his blocks. He just drew. The same picture over and over, a door. By noon, Ava's nerves were frayed. She found Mrs. Green in the laundry room folding sheets, humming like she didn't have a care in the world. Mrs. Green, Ava began carefully, what's in the East Wing? The older woman didn't look up. Storage. Storage doesn't usually lock itself. Mrs. Green's hands paused mid-fold. Some rooms in this house have grief inside them, dear. Best not to open what grief wants shut. Ava frowned. You mean Daniel's wife's room? Mrs. Green's eyes snapped up sharp. You've seen it. Ava hesitated. That 1 second of silence gave her away. The older woman's voice lowered. Then you should pray, because what you saw isn't meant for the living. Before Ava could respond, Mrs. Green picked up the sheets and left quick, stiff steps, like she'd already said too much. That night, rain started again, gentle at first, then harder. Noah refused dinner. He sat by the window, drawing more doors. When Ava tucked him in, he whispered, She doesn't like when it rains. Ava froze. Who? The lady in the walls. Her blood went cold. Noah, what lady? He looked at her then, eyes wide, honest, unblinking. Mommy. Ava's heart stopped. After he drifted off, she stood by the window, watching the storm. The east wing glowed faintly from a single window flickering light, like someone moving inside. Daniel was out at a late meeting. Mrs. Green's quarters were dark. It was now or never. She grabbed her phone and flashlight, her steps soft but sure. The air thickened the closer she got to that corridor. The faint hum of electricity buzzed under her skin. When she reached the locked door, she hesitated. Then she noticed the latch Daniel had used last night wasn't fully secured. Someone had been there after him. She pushed the door open. The air smelled faintly of lavender and rust. The rocking chair sat still this time. The photo was back on the dresser, but flipped face down. Something scraped behind the wall. Ava's breath hitched. She crouched, pressing her ear to the baseboard. A soft tapping, 3 slow beats, then a pause, then 2. A pattern. Her flashlight flickered, the bulb struggling. She followed the sound, tracing her hand along the wall until her fingers brushed the hidden panel again. But this time, it wasn't sealed. It was slightly ajar. Her heart thundered. Inside was a narrow crawl space, barely wide enough for a person. A faint trail of candle wax lined the floor. Ava crawled in. The air was cold, damp. Her light caught faded wallpaper peeling off old brick. Halfway through, something shiny caught her eye. A locket, gold, dust-covered. She wiped it clean. Inside were 2 pictures, Daniel and his wife. And behind them, a folded note pressed into the frame. She unfolded it, her hands shaking. If you're reading this, it means he still hasn't told the truth. The light flickered again, and then she heard it, a soft shuffle behind her. Ave. Her name, whispered in a voice that was Daniel's and wasn't a child. It was soft, low, and full of sorrow. She turned slowly. A pale hand pressed against the crawlspace wall, on the inside, reaching out toward her. Her scream caught in her throat. The flashlight fell and rolled, casting fractured light across the walls. There, written faintly in smeared letters on the plaster. Don't let him find the room. The air turned ice cold. Ava stumbled out of the passage, gasping for air. And as she slammed the hidden panel shut, a low voice whispered from behind it, this time clear as daylight. He's coming. The house wasn't quiet anymore. It was breathing. Every wall seemed to thrum with something alive, something angry or afraid. Ava ran through the corridor, her breath uneven, heart slamming against her ribs. Her phone's flashlight shook across the marble. She didn't care if someone heard now. She had to find Daniel. She burst into the main hall and froze. He was already there, standing in the middle of the floor, sleeves rolled, tie loose, rain dripping from his hair. "You went back," he said quietly. Ava's throat burned. "You lied to me." Daniel didn't move. "About what?" "The East Wing, your wife, that room." His face went pale, eyes flickering with something like panic, then guilt. "Ava, listen." "No," her voice broke, trembling with anger and fear. "You told me to stay away, but I found it. The note, the locket, the words on the wall." He closed his eyes, his jaw tight. "You don't understand." "Then make me understand," she snapped. "Because your son is terrified of that room, and you walk around pretending it doesn't exist." Daniel finally looked at her, not as an employer, not as a man in control, but as someone broken. "She didn't die peacefully, Ava." The room went still. He took a slow breath. "It wasn't an accident. She took her life in that room. I found her the night the storm hit." His voice cracked on the memory. "Noah saw it. He was 3. Ava's breath caught. "Oh my God." "I sealed the room," Daniel whispered. "But sometimes he still hears her. The song, the lullaby she used to sing." Her heart sank, the same lullaby she'd been humming. Ava stumbled back. "That's why he reacted when I sang it." Daniel nodded slowly. He thought she came back. Lightning flashed outside, washing the marble in white. A low, familiar hum drifted down the hallway. Faint, fragile, heartbreakingly beautiful. The lullaby. Daniel's eyes went wide. "She's here again." "No," Ava said firmly, though her voice shook. "It's not her, it's him. He's trying to tell you something." Noah's voice floated from upstairs, humming the tune louder now, clearer. Ava sprinted toward the stairs, Daniel behind her. They reached the east corridor. The door that had slammed shut before now stood open. Candlelight flickered inside. Noah stood in the center of the room, holding the locket Ava had found. His little hand trembled. Daniel fell to his knees. "Buddy, give that to me, please." But Noah just looked at him, eyes full of something far too old for his years. Then he pointed to the wall, the hidden panel. Daniel turned. Ava's flashlight beam caught the faint writing again. "Don't let him find the room." Daniel's face broke open. "She was protecting him," he whispered. "From me." Ava's heart stopped. "Daniel, what do you mean?" His voice cracked. "She didn't die alone. We fought that night. I said things I can't take back. She locked herself in and his breath hitched. "I didn't go after her." The words landed like glass shattering. Ava's eyes filled with tears. She wasn't haunting him, Daniel. He was haunting himself. Noah walked up to his father then, small, trembling, and placed the locket in his hand. Daniel's shoulders collapsed. He pulled Noah close, sobbing against his son's hair for the first time in years. Ava turned away, tears streaming down her face. The candle light fluttered, almost like a sigh. Then, as the storm broke outside, the rocking chair in the corner began to move once, twice, slow and gentle, before stopping completely. The air stilled. The house finally exhaled. Ava whispered, "She's gone." Daniel looked up, his voice wrecked but soft. "No, she's finally home." Outside, dawn broke pale, fragile, forgiving. Ava stepped toward the door, taking one last look at the boy now sleeping in his father's arms. For the first time, the mansion didn't look haunted. It looked human. As she walked down the hall, a faint whisper brushed past her ear, warm, almost grateful. "Thank you." Ava smiled through her tears. "Rest easy." The front doors opened with the sunrise, flooding the marble in gold. And behind her, the house went silent, not the silence of grief but peace. Because sometimes, the ghosts we fear the most are the ones we keep alive inside us.